Hey guys, how's it going? It's your boy M.I.I.S.A.S here, back here with fourth and final part of Happy Independence Day for Indians out there, or fans of India. I hope you enjoy it, and as ever, I'd love to read your comments. If you want to make reaction videos or whatever, or whatever else, can't think of anything else. Yeah, reaction videos. What I'm trying to say, reaction videos or whatever. Please feel free to do so. Even if you want to make me into a meme. Hopefully it won't be too harsh, but I'll try and take it on the chin. I like to have a bit of humour anyway, so I'll try and go with the humour if you do take the mic in a nice way, hopefully, if you're going to do so. But yeah, as ever, also welcome constructive criticism and positive feedback, especially to encourage me if people out there enjoy my videos. And I know I've mentioned this on the last 2 or 3, but please do share with anyone who's interested in India, either those from India itself, within India itself, or from around the world of Indian descent, or those who just have an interest in India for whatever reason. Maybe they're married or dating an Indian, married to or dating an Indian person, or whatever. For whatever reason, they have an interest in India or Indian history or culture. Please, please let me know. Please let me know. Please share that video. Please share these videos, with those people. I'm not doing very well here, I know. But yeah, I know, looking back at the previous videos I made, the previous 3, I didn't really do so well at managing the time, keeping it down to 10 minutes or less, which is what I normally like to do if I can. But anyway, I'll try and, on that note, I'll try and stop waffling and get on with the list. So here goes. So number 31, I would love for India to be able to recreate the East India Company. For those who may not have heard of it, the East India Company was actually, some people say, I think it was a forerunner or front runner for not enterprise, for empire rather, or the enterprise of empire. And they had their own military and things like that, but they were the actual ones who ran India, and they ran so many parts of the world. And yeah, they basically were for the benefit of Britain at the expense of Indians, possibly including my fellow Anglo-Indians as well, but especially Indians themselves, or people of Indian descent, but or in India at the time. Sorry, but I dream that India will be able to recreate that, but this time for India's benefit. If it's really just possibly at the expense of Britain, but let's just say to keep it nice and simple and as peaceful and loving as possible, for the benefit of India and Indians around the world, especially in India itself, to benefit India as much as possible somehow. I don't know how it could be recreated, but I'd love to, again, read any suggestions. If anyone wants to make any video ideas on that as well, you're welcome to do so. I hope those will benefit India most importantly. That's one condition I'd place onto it. But yeah, if you put credits for me as well, that'd be great. But yeah, so if you do want to make videos on the East India Company, how India could benefit through, like, maybe, I don't know, increased trade deals, or as I mentioned in part 3, I think, and possibly part 2 as well. Anyway, trying to get to the point. Sorry, I can't even speak properly. Sorry, but maybe taxes that are collected from NRIs, non-resident Indians, or those from across the diaspora, could go towards benefiting. So I'm having to lean forward, so I hope my back doesn't get too sore. I could go towards benefiting India, so they could dedicate their taxes, NRIs, those of Indian descent, towards India, and things like that. Increased investments, or favourable trade deals, international support, or things like that. If there's stuff like that that can go towards helping India to make up for history, and benefit from, like, the newly reformed East India Company. I made a group on Facebook called the M.I.I.S.A.S Newly Reformed East India Company. That was made a long time ago when I was actually interested in making money myself and interested in business. But even back then, I'd wanted India to benefit from it as well. I'd just love to benefit from that, having the credit of coming up with that idea of India benefiting from such. And basically, it would promote Indian industry and things to do with India, just like these videos, but in that case all year round, and look at possibly making justice and how countries that are colonized even could work together, and hopefully the main beneficiary, the benefit, whatever the word is, if that's even a word. I think I made my own word there, but the main person to benefit, or the main nation to benefit, would be India and the people of India, as all being well, if it's up to me. Sorry, I did cover that point in a lot of detail, but yeah, maybe in the future I'll cover more that in more detail. But I'd love to make videos on the East India Company. I don't think I'll get around to do so this August because I've got so many different ideas I wish to cover, but I would love to do so in my ideal world. Number 32, I'd love for people to learn about the East India Company, and again, maybe I'll make videos on that. Number 33, I'd love for Indians to discuss what libertarianism is to them, what they think is justice, and I'd love for people to answer the question, do you think it would be just for India to become the richest country in the world? I know I typed that in the last video, in the description, I think, of the video, or in the comment section, I can't remember which one. I think it was in the description, but do you think that it would be just for India to be the richest country on the planet, as I believe that is its natural position? That's what it would have been had it not been colonized. Although I know they would have had problems, I'm sure, but nevertheless, I'm sure that's what its position, its natural position, as I put it, is. Number 34, again, I hope to look into all possible ways to benefit India, all possible ways they could benefit. Number 35, that includes, as I often say, like how they could utilize the strengths of neurodiverse people. I love for people in India and across Asia to learn about the strengths of neurodivergent people, like people with dyslexia, ADHD, and whatnot, to watch videos from Made by Dyslexia, the Dyslexia Advantage, Understood, the Child Mind Institute, and others to learn about neurodiversity and maybe related organizations for those with ADHD, autism, and that kind of thing, to learn how ADHD and dyslexia especially ADHD and dyslexia especially are often entrepreneurs' superpowers, as many people say, but also how people with autism have their own strengths, and how neurodiverse people can have their own strengths as well, and also people with disabilities. Just because they're in a wheelchair doesn't mean they can't be strong in another area, just like with neurodiversity. Like people with dyslexia might not be able to read or write very well, or be able to do reading, writing, arithmetic, or academic stuff, but they might be stronger in other areas. So I hope for people across India and across Asia, even in India and across Asia, to learn about such. Also, I'd love for them to network, as I say, with Malaysia, Indonesia, South Africa, and Singapore especially, as well as other parts of Asia, or even parts of Africa, and have trade deals in return for helping Indigenous Africans and Australasians. Again, sorry for repeating points as I often do, but in return for supporting them in STEM. Hopefully that would increase India's positive image around the world, and also people will buy Indian items in order to say thank you and things like that. But yeah, hopefully it will improve the image, the PR, if you like, of India as a nation. I know normally people talk about PR when they talk about organizations, especially companies, but in this case, like Brand India, hopefully will be improved by helping Indigenous Africans and Australasians in STEM. For those who don't know what that means, it's science, tech, engineering, maths, just in case people didn't watch other videos I made about that, or may have forgotten, or whatever. Number 36, I dream for Indians to, as I keep saying, I know, sorry for repeating myself again, but to follow, support, and even invest in Italian football, Serie A and whatnot, and to have that diplomatic relationship as well. As I say, I love for India to have positive diplomatic relationships with all possible nations. So I know it's a bit difficult because you might say I'm bashing Britain by saying about how they colonized them, and I know it's part of history they could learn from and things like that. And many people have different attitudes today than they used to have. Some people probably still have that imperialistic mindset or racist mindset. I suppose it goes hand in glove, but I suppose it's the same thing, kind of. But many have moved on from that time. Many even will probably agree and say, but maybe there are people around the world who could talk about, again, how India could recreate the East India Company, but hopefully for their benefit. I'd love it to have my initials, M.I.S.A.S, like the M.I.S.A.S newly reformed East India Company, or something like that. I'd love to, maybe you could vote on a name in the comment section as well. Maybe that's a question I could have asked, what would a good name for such be? But yeah, that's a question I'm asking in the video, I suppose, but in words rather than typing. But anyway, yeah, so what do you think would be a good name for a newly recreated East India Company for the benefit of India this time? But yeah, maybe even people from Britain and around the world, people of all different races, religions, ethnicities, and colours, and even political parties might be behind the idea. Yeah, behind the idea. Even people from Pakistan, or even people who are black or white or Asian or mixed or whatever, might get behind this idea, basically. Number 37, also dream that Celtic, as I say, would benefit them. I hope that having academies and sports clubs for Italian football and Celtic would benefit, I'll say, be mutually benefit. Who I would hope to benefit from such would be Italian football, Celtic FC, India, and other nations, which I hope they will all network with, like South Africa and other parts of Africa as well as Asia. In the past, like I thought of, like, I think I called it, well, it could be called a triangular network, I suppose, or something like that, because it would have been three nations I was thinking about, which was India, Italy, and South Africa. So Italy to benefit in football, South Africa to benefit through tech, through increasing their tech or STEM generally, and India to benefit through increased trade and being able to sell their goods and things like that. But now it could be also it could be that all of Africa as well could benefit in tech as well, or even STEM generally could be expanded. But that was how the idea initially started with. I wanted Italy to benefit in football, India to benefit in terms of selling items around the world, and in terms of trade, and South Africa to benefit through tech, stuff like that, tech empowerment. And yeah, so all three nations to look at how they could benefit each other in those areas through the partnership, through that deal, three-part or three-nation or tri-nation partnership, we could say. But yeah, as the ideas expanded, I thought also maybe even other Mediterranean nations could be part of it in football terms at least. But I hope I hope for it to mainly benefit Italy in terms of football. But yeah, maybe other Asian nations could also benefit in terms of trade, and African nations could benefit in terms of being empowered in education, in tech, or even STEM generally. Anyway, moving on, number 38. I'd love to read all possible ideas, suggestions, and whatnot about how to promote these ideas, how to get people from India to take these ideas on board, perhaps, and benefit from these ideas, and basically how to explain them better. Someone who's more coherent than me and better explaining things might be able to do so, hopefully. And also, yeah, anything that could benefit India, basically, anything that could promote Indian music, singers, songs, songwriters, dancers, independence. There could be a dance for independence that they could create, or things like anything that could be about India and promoting India, supporting India, and brand India, especially positive things about India, and making up for the fact they lost their liberty and things like that, turning it into a positive, I'll say, and hopefully Indians also learning about the positives of libertarianism and these ideas as well, and how they could utilize the strengths, I'll say, of people with learning disabilities, like special needs, with our special or specific strengths that we have despite our weaknesses. Yeah, so like they might be missing out on talents of skills and talents and abilities, special abilities and special talents of people with dyslexia, ADHD, and related conditions, because they don't see our strengths, they only look at our weaknesses, perhaps. So things like that, yeah, and whatever other ideas they might miss out on, or could improve, like for instance sanitation, hygiene, having more access to toilets, something as simple as that, tackling, dare I say, sexual assault or things like that, or things like women's rights and issues and things like that as well, and how that could benefit everyone within the nation. Like it could improve brand India and improve the image. They could have it in schools where they talk about that kind of thing. Number 39, on that note, as I say, I think it'd be great if maybe schools had those that education on women's rights and choices, and women having choices, as well as everyone having more choices in India, and similar across Asia. But also, I wondered if, in the past, I did wonder, and I still wonder, if more women being involved in politics and more lessons on that sort of thing, and tackling sexual assault and violence and things like that, could be, and giving women more choices, I say, especially, could be, if there are more women involved in politics and teaching, and I'm sure there are in teaching, but if there are more women involved in politics, could that be something where they could make legislation, sorry, or things like that protects women from incidents that you hear about that have happened in India, and obviously they happen around the world, but yeah, how those things could be improved. And number 40, yeah, probably not the most professional. I mean, I hope that don't ruin the other ideas I talked about, the more professional ones. But I think it'd be cool if God allowed Indians to be like, or people from Malaysia, India, Indonesia, South Africa, and Singapore. Like, if I could, I'd make adult movies like and stuff like that, where people from those backgrounds get to be like porn stars and gigolos and stuff like that. And if God would let them, I think that'd be pretty cool. And they get to like get reparations by screwing wages for free, or even getting paid for the privilege. Anyway, I made it very unprofessional there, but I thought I'd include a naughty idea for 40, just like I did when I said a dirty idea for 30. But yeah, probably not the most professional. I probably should have made a separate, more adult one, but I thought there's not enough time. Anyway, it's dragged on a bit too long, but I am out. Peace and love.